Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I saw this and I wanted to make a video about it because I felt some kind of way about it. And it's not just that I felt some kind of way about it. I'm making the case that you also should feel some kind of way about it because it's a big deal. This came out with Wikileaks today. Global intelligence files. On Monday, February 27th, 2012, Wikileaks began publishing the Global Intelligence Files, over 5 million emails from Texas headquarters Global Intelligence Company, Stratfor. The emails date between July 2004 and December 2011. They reveal the inner workings of a company that fronts as an intelligence publisher, but provides confidential intelligence services to large corporations, such as Dow Chemical, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and government agencies, including the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Marines, the Defense Intelligence Agencies. The email shows Stratfor's web of informers, payoff structure, payment laundering techniques, and psychological methods. This is important. Obama leaked investigations. Internal use only. Please, do not forward. Do not let this shit get out to the public. Brennan is behind the witch hunts of investigative journalists learning information from inside the Beltway sources. There is specific tasker from the White House to go after anyone printing materials negative to the Obama agenda. Oh my! Even the FBI is shocked. The Wonder Boys must be in meltdown mode. Let's repeat that, because understand the severity of what's being said. Brennan is behind the witch hunts of investigative journalists learning information from inside the Beltway sources. Note, the specific tasker from the White House to go after anyone printing materials negative to the Obama administration. Even the FBI is shocked. The Wonder Boys must be in meltdown mode. They were attacking the press. They were attacking the press. When Obama was using the Espionage Act to go after whistleblowers, literally using something looking for treason and spies to go after earnest people who are displaying waste, fraud, and abuse of the United States government. Those guys have a vested interest in covering their own ass. And that's exactly what they were doing. They were literally using the power of the state to go after journalists that didn't particularly like or didn't particularly toe the line that Obama was putting out. That is amazing. That is amazing. Liberals have been on this kick about how Donald Trump is beating up the press, suppressing the press, making this case that suppression of the press is a sign of a dictator. Don't take my word for it. Robert Reich is a through and through lefty, at least in regards to economics. Democracy depends on a free and independent press, which is why all tyrants tend to squelch it. They use 7 techniques that, worryingly, President Donald Trump already employs. Hey, Robert Reich, so when Obama was doing that to the press, was that squelching the press? Which all tyrants try to squelch it? Is that what was taking place? Because that looks like that's what's taking place to me. If you're locking up whistleblowers, people who are putting information, they are not doing anything illegal. They're doing things that Obama, when he was running as a candidate, said he'd approve of. Whistleblowers are leaking waste, fraud, and abuse. Obama had a special wing of the White House to go after these guys and to go after the press who's printing stories, printing true information. Investigative journalism, it is their job. He was going after those people because he didn't like the information that they were putting out as it was at cross purposes with his agendas. This is an amazing phenomenon. This is amazing to me. So if Robert Reich, if he's correct, if he's being consistent, doesn't the previous administration fall under this also? Just because the guy's not saying it vocally. Certainly the things he's doing is more important than the things he's saying. If you're being consistent, Robert, if you're being perfectly consistent, democracy depends on a free and independent press, which is why all tyrants tend to squelch it. Was the previous guy, based on that definition, a tyrant? If you're right, that last guy who was cracking down on the press, as the press went about their typical day, meaning as they did their jobs, they were under assault from the White House. Democracy depends on a free and independent press, which is why all tyrants can squelch it. By that definition, would the previous guy, the guy who you were supporting, would that guy be considered a tyrant? Let's keep going. Chris Wallace. Better yet, John McCain. I hate the press. The Arizona Republican sarcastically told NBC News' Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, I hate you especially, but the fact is we need you. We need a free press. We must have it. It's vital. But he continued, if you want to preserve, I'm very serious now, if you want to preserve democracy as we know it, you have to have a free press, and many times, adversarial press, John McCain said on the interview. And without it, I am afraid that we will lose so much of our individual liberties over time that that's how dictators get started. So when they passed the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, allowing indefinite detention of American citizens, that guy looks like a terrorist to me. Take him away. Is that what John McCain, when he's saying we'll lose so much of our individual liberties over time, that took place in the previous administration? When they make an argument that you can use military on home soil. Again, I'm afraid we will lose much of our individual liberties over time. That sounds a lot like losing individual liberties. So explain to me. John McCain aimed this at Donald Trump, but certainly, if John McCain is making this point that says you need an adversarial press, an administration that's in power is neutering the press by attacking sources, by attacking them, by having somebody in the White House tasked with making sure that they can put pressure on people who's doing investigative journalists, who's doing their goddamn jobs. How does that not meet this criteria? If you want to preserve, I'm very serious now, if you want to preserve democracy as we know it, you need to have a free and many times adversarial press. How can you have an adversarial press if the White House is using the power of the state to suppress that institution? I understand you guys are angry because Trump is saying he's bashing the press. But again, once again, you're mistaking optics for the actual reality of the situation. Why weren't you making these arguments? When Obama was bugging the press, when he had people suppressing the press, when he's locking up whistleblowers who's putting out information of things that the government is doing. I get it. The guy's a fucking goblin. But certainly the things that the previous person was doing, you're mistaking tone for actuality, for actual things that the person is doing in that office. Chris Wallace. Fox News, Chris Wallace argued on Sunday that President Donald Trump crossed the line when he called the media the enemy of the people. Following Trump's Friday attack on the news media, Wallace reminded hosts of Fox and Friends that the country's founders believed that a free press was a vital component to a functioning and free and fair democracy. When he said that fake news media is not my enemy, when he said the fake news media is not my enemy, it is the enemy of the American people, I believe that crosses an important line, Fox News host quoted. Wallace also agreed with Senator John McCain, who recently pointed out that shutting down the free press was how dictators get started. It's a check on power. And he was saying that in dictatorships, there's state-run media and there's no opportunity for a free and independent press, Wallace explained. So I think he's exactly right there. It's amazing to me how these people are supposed to be on different sides, but they're saying the exact same thing. And yet, they were okay with the previous guy who was taking substantive steps within law to suppress this stuff. So which is it? Which is more important? Is it the tone and the rhetoric that's more important, or is it the person who's actually, the person who can communicate and bullshit in a particular way but do something completely different than the things that he's saying? Yes, Obama says transparency is great, but certainly if he's cracking down on the press, when he's tasking somebody in the White House, or somebody in the White House is tasked with suppressing dissent among investigative journalists, to cracking down on people, he was using the Espionage Act to lock up people who was putting things out of what the government was doing that was illegal. That is the definition of whistleblowing. I understand that Trump is a bumbling idiot. And he spouts off, whether it's on Twitter or anything else. He says what's on his mind. But certainly you can understand that that is a matter of tone. I am talking about substance. I'm talking about substance. And the substance of it is, all of these guys are saying the same thing, that dictatorships get started, that a free and fair democracy cannot exist without having a press that's adversarial and that can function in that way. If Obama was cracking down on the press to this degree, certainly that's not an adversarial press. If he is forcing down dissent, if he's cracking down on dissent, if he's essentially taking steps to corral the things that they're doing that is perfectly legal in a democracy, at least by the definition of all these people going from liberal Robert Wright to conservative Chris Wallace. That is the entire spectrum, at least in the degree of this duopoly. You have to explain to me. You have to explain to me. Where's the consistency in it? And why are you so fascinated with the shiny object of the things people say as opposed to the things that people do? It seems that you give Obama a complete pass on this. And no, conservatives are unfair on this front. I'm talking more so the liberals in this case. He's cracking down on the press. He was literally cracking down on the press. Loretta Lynch was out here talking about Donald Trump is taking her rights. Literally talking about Donald Trump is taking her rights. These people have been yelling about Russia at the top of their lungs over and over and over again as if some foreign red menace was somehow attacking this country. If a free and functioning press is an aspect of democracy that's required for democracy, it's required for a republic to maintain itself, how is he not an enemy of the state in that case? I know you guys want to look out for these foreign things, but in that office, the presidency is attacking an institution of this particular country. I'm making a point to you that it's not just one party in this sense. The presidencies are continuations of each other. The fact that he did it, it enshrines it into a particular law. At the very least, it applies it in the common nature that the next president can come in and assert the same right to do. If Donald Trump has any powers whatsoever to do something similar to the press, you have to understand the mandate was set in the previous administration. Stop looking at the new... Your memory can't just be 3 years or 2 years or a year ago. It can't. And you have to have consistency to look at it and say, okay, this is where that came from. This is how that started. This is how this propagates. And this is going to be the results, or the likely results of the things that were taking place in the previous administration. You cannot give them a pass on that. That's a big fucking deal. That's a huge deal. At the very least, you have to have some consistency in saying, even if you're an Obamaite, even if you're an apologist, even if you're a true blue Democrat where you just vote him and you're a hack and you don't particularly care, certainly you can be aware that that's a problem. Certainly you're aware that's a problem. How can you have any level of interrogation of the government that you're supposed to have oversight, civilian oversight? How do you get information of the government itself if the thing that gives you that information is being decapitated? That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. You will be able to find the hypocrites in this particular society, in this particular case, whether it's on MSNBC, whether it's on Fox. Look, my contention is all these people are scamming you. So take it with a grain of salt. But if they can't call reality, if they can't look at that and say, okay, that's a problem, he should not have been doing that, that leak is damning, then they're lying. They're lying through their teeth. Objective reality says that the president should not be taking steps to attack the press. That's fundamental. That's fundamental. All these guys are making this point. They're making this point at Donald Trump, but their point still applies to the previous administration. If you're being fair, all of these critiques that are literally lined against Trump in regards to calling him a dictator for taking shots at the press, when the last guy was materially taking steps through law, through legal means, to suppress the press. Be consistent. That's all I'm saying. Be consistent. That leak is absolutely damning. That leak is absolutely damning. Don't complain to me about what Trump is doing if you can't call a spade when you see something like that. Don't cry to me over that. I'm not going to hear you. I'm going to think you're full of it. This is reality. Trump may take steps at some point to do something that's more heinous in regards to the press. But right now, this has all been talk. The real action had taken place in the previous administration. Be honest. Be real. Do not be a hypocrite when you're evaluating this stuff. You can like Obama, but you have to accept him warts and all. So, yeah. That's hard. That's hard. Alright guys, I'm ending this here. If you like the content, I'm sorry, it annoys the fuck out of me. I see this, and then at the same time, I see people screaming their head off about Donald Trump is taking their rights. Loretta Lynch made a goddamn hostage video talking about she's under attack. What the hell was this? What is this? This is literally an attack on the press. I don't want to hear this stuff about Donald Trump taking your rights. These are the rights. Your reality was being constrained by the previous administration. That is a big damn deal. If you don't see it as a big damn deal, don't cry to me about Donald Trump. That's what it boils down to. Thanks, guys.